Well, hello, and welcome to another segment of Naked with Dr. Money. I am excited. I literally stayed awake most of the night on a red eye flight from Las Vegas into Miami this morning, and from Miami into Montego Bay. And then I was really bold this time. I rented a rental car and drove myself from the airport all the way to Negril. I must admit, I was sleepy as heck. That probably wasn't the wisest idea. I could have used a better night's rest, but I at least stopped on the hip strip and made sure that I had breakfast and some coffee before jumping on the road. But I'm excited because, again, I'm in the grill. I'll be here for a few days before heading to Treasure Beach, and then I'm sure I'll hit Runaway Bay, probably hit Kingston for some partying. I have promised a few friends that I'll make it that way this time for a little socializing. And, you know, what is Naked with Dr. Money? A couple people have said, that's a catchy name, but what is that all about? Well, Naked with Dr. Money is really my opportunity to sort of give you a peek under the hood, if you will, or that look behind the scenes of what the daily journey looks like when you are managing your mind, body, and soul while being engaged in whatever your lifestyle and life commitments are, your life responsibilities. I've been working to put this wellness organization, ZenoVerse Wellness Group, together. And we launched 2 years ago, myself and Dr. Aubrey Oliver, who's the functional medicine physician and chief medical officer for our organization. But what a lot of people don't know is that this vision, this dream actually started when I was 9 years young, but really began to take shape when I was about 19. I happened to be working at the Claremont Resort Hotel, and at that time, we were one of the first hotel properties to invest $1 million in this new thing called a spa. Well, now these days, when you go to hotels, a spa is just ubiquitous with most, locations. But at that time, it was a pretty provocative investment, much like the investment around, our 420 Wellness brand, our luxury brand Turquoise, which you'll hear more about in the coming months, our various community assets like the 120 Club, and all of those things. So, what we are creating is this awesome global community of people that choose a lifestyle. They have chosen to live a lifestyle that allows them to fulfill full life, which is, we know based on research, is 120 years and beyond. Now think of that. 120 years and beyond is full life. Many people start checking out at 50, at 65, and you're still not there. You're not there. You're just beginning the journey. So it's like definitely taking into consideration that our intentions are typically what guide our outcomes. And so the reason that I'm thinking back, because of course, every time I come to Jamaica, I'm greeted, and people kind of look and they go, "Wow, you like it here? Are you Jamaican?" It's like, no, not exactly. I've been traveling to Jamaica for the last 30 years for business and fun. When I came for my first trip, ended up being fun, but I was introduced to Jamaica initially by a colleague who was working with the Hyatt uh, properties, and they were looking at building a Hyatt at the time in Jamaica. And it was early in my career. I was still the CEO of my advertising agency and had not fully gained the real estate development skills yet, but I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to transition out of advertising because what I noticed is I had been consulting the National Conference of Black Mayors and other municipalities where I would go in and speak to cities not only about entrepreneurial opportunities and corporations, a way to reallocate resources towards innovation as well as spur entrepreneurship, but also um, during that time, kind of just studying the market of opportunities. And so, um, wellness as a concept is something that was presented to me when I was about, I would say, 9. It was my mother that introduced me to a book called Back to Eden. And the reason that she wanted to introduce me and that it was important. In fact, she bought 2 books. She bought Back to Eden and she bought a soul food cookbook because we had just purchased our first home and she had never really become a cook because we lived with my grandmother before and my grandmother normally prepared the food. So my mom didn't have to. But now she was going to be responsible for preparing meals. But she made a conscious decision that she thought that there was something about the soul food that was contributing to health disparities. And so she decided that she wanted to teach me a different way of food preparation so that I would avoid some of the ills that seem to be prevalent based on how meals were prepared. I took a lot of heat because of this, because I did not learn many of the so called traditional soul food dishes. I was labeled a little foo foo pretty often around that. And those things then meshing with, coming to Jamaica and looking at working on a hotel project potentially uh, to launch my real estate development career. All of these different seeds were being planted at different times. But what I discovered is intention and being able to set a plan for the long game. That's what really matters. A lot of times we are clear on what we believe is our purpose or the things that we're passionate about. But some of the pieces appear to be missing, some of what we think is necessary for whatever it is we're seeking to manifest, to fully manifest. And what I've learned along this journey is, of course, it is, right? Because think about this, when you set the intention to accomplish something, you don't have everything you need. And that's by design, right? Because you're going to grow through the process. And if you have a spiritual belief, you're going to strengthen your faith, right? And so when we talk about developing yourselves, mind, body, and soul, and continuing your journey by positing great experiences that will feed you along that journey, will help you develop muscles. I know, there are plenty of times that I'm like, Almighty, ancestors, God, can I give you a list of some other people to work on? Like, can I take a pause? Like this being in the workshop or being on the, you know, um, the potter's mouth, it can be painful and it can seem never ending. But I guess what I'd like to say that I'm really so excited about is, who knew that 30 years later, I would have, launched a company from Jamaica and South Africa, in addition to US based organizations. I've been aiming for a global footprint, a larger global footprint for many years. So I worked diligently to add tools to my toolbox that I felt would give me unique qualifications and equip me with two things where I'd have both a bucket of experiences because I'd had an opportunity to really get out in the world and practice. Practice is how you develop those skills and whatever it is you're pursuing. And then in addition to that, developing an appropriate pedigree. So, very early in my career, I noticed that people spent a lot of time, looking for, if you will, the gaps in what it was I was presenting because no one really thought about the idea of a young child, a business prodigy. Maybe those were some of the things that I was demonstrating in terms of my breadth and desires and knowledge of business before my years. And so I didn't have the so called credentials that supported my production. Um, Now, having gained all of those so-called credentials, I can honestly look back and go, "Wow, there was just brilliance, raw brilliance that was being fostered by not only the Almighty and the ancestors, but really my mother. My mother was so brilliant, beyond her years and creative. And so she gave me skills and talents around communication, being able to tap into my creativity while part of my family DNA is definitely, the math and science. So early on, you could see the scientist in me and the researcher, and you still see that evidenced in uh, my doctor of business administration. Why would I do a research, a credential that, and it was exciting when it came time to do my dissertation. I did a mixed methods study, venture capital for independent filmmakers, if anybody is curious. And following the successful completion of that dissertation, I moved straight into law school, which I am grateful to have completed just, I guess, a month ago. So, hoorah, hoorah, although it's still not over, right? Application and study for the bar exam. So the study still continues. But the journey of intention around real estate development, around wellness, around my concept that I created, which is called Medispatel. And what is a Medispatel? Well, soon you will get to see what a Medispatel looks like, how it's programmed, and why you want to find your way to one or more of them as they begin to launch all over the world. But it's really exciting. And so I had a fabulous meeting yesterday before jumping on my flight here with an architect that I was hoping would be interested in at least working with me at this early kind of creative phase where we're designing and programming, the look and feel, the color palette, and all of those things under the different brands and the assets that fall in alignment with those design themes. So I'm just full. I'm full. I'm full. I'm full, and I'm so excited. And today was a probably a risky segment, knowing that I would have been flying all night and that once I landed, I was going to need to still travel another couple of hours from Montego Bay to Negril. So I wasn't sure what to expect with energy and all of those things. And I did invite a guest. Unfortunately, she had a little emergency, so we'll have to reschedule my guest, but she'll be able to join in and we'll pick up this conversation where we talk about the early years of my entrepreneurial venture. Because, as I shared, where I had the pleasure of not only advising the National Conference of Black Mayors, but contributing to their newsletter. And it was all resulting from my participation in the entrepreneurial program that was created by Miss Kathleen Sullivan. And the way that she not only developed the program, but she really created a platform that allowed those of us who were very interested in being young entrepreneurs to develop not only the tools, but the connections that would be necessary. So I remember when we went to open up our business bank accounts, we didn't just go and pick a retail bank and open up our business bank accounts. We opened up our business bank accounts at a business bank. But before we opened up the accounts, we had a meeting with the bank executives, and they made a presentation to us about why we would want to have a business account with their bank and the additional services and the personal care that they would offer to our companies in the early stages as we were looking to gain footing and become great banking customers, business banking customers, because a lot of people, you end up doing business with retail banks, and banks make money off of your deposits. And so if you've been banking with a retail bank and no one has come to you and offered you financing for your business after years of maintaining a relationship, you don't have a relationship. You basically are providing wealth for the bank, but there's no incentive for you. So that's basically a win lose relationship, which isn't sustainable. You are offering no loyalty to anyone when the loyalty is not reciprocated. In business, businesses need access to capital and resources. So, for example, banking relationship. I remember when I was expanding one of my companies from the Bay Area, from Oakland to Southern California, Los Angeles, and just going in on a casual day, making my regular deposits. And the executive at the branch pulled me aside and said, "Hey, could you use a line of credit?" And I was like, "Yeah, I probably could." And he says, "Great, it's approved." That's a banking relationship. That's someone that said, I know we have this product, I know we have this tool available, and I know that I can approve it at my level. And I've been watching you build your new banking relationship as you've expanded your business into this market. And I know that it's important and valuable to have a line of credit. So why jump through any hoops? You're a good customer. I want to extend our relationship. So here's a line of credit. And hopefully that'll help you further your needs. So things like sometimes when I look at the needs of the organization, and again, looking at my banking relationship, I give the bank an opportunity to be involved with other like payroll, like credit card processing, merchant accounts, things of that nature that really create a win-win relationship so that my banking partners begin to feel like they have a vested interest in my success. And you need those types of relationships. And so when I think about, the awareness of understanding from the beginning. At 19, I was informed of the importance of who you bank with. And I say you should have, five different banking relationships, but you need to interview the bank. You need to make sure that the bank offers capital in your sector. You need to understand about their portfolio because even if they offer capital in your sector, it's usually based on an allocation. And so once the portfolio has met the threshold of the allocations in a particular sector, then they won't make any additional capital available until they've rebalanced that particular portfolio. That's aimed at mitigating the risk of the portfolio. And so sometimes, again, if you only have one relationship and that bank is unable to perform, you walk away thinking that your business is not able to secure capital, when it's not about your business being unable to secure capital, you may have approached the wrong potential relationship and they're unable to perform. So you have to ask yourself, if they're unable to perform, yet they've been sitting on my money. I mean, oh my goodness, guys, I had a client and they had been putting their money in a bank. I'm not going to say the name because I know a lot of you guys have your money in that same bank. And when COVID hit and the opportunity for payment protection loans for businesses to support and sustain them, sadly, so many of my clients that banked with these retail banks found themselves unable to secure what they should have easily been able to secure, again, because they really were in bed with the wrong relationship. So, anyway, the finance, the capital part. And I always talk about the capital part because that's really important. And it's also top of mind because here, my next 3 weeks in Jamaica is back to due diligence, updating on a development project, getting what I can as it relates to site plans and renderings so that my architect and I can sit down and begin to map out the program for each of the assets that we're interested in acquiring. And it's amazing because a few of these properties that I'm looking at, I'm getting to have a second look because when I looked at them a year and a half ago, maybe there was a little bit more optimism, so prices were a little bit inflated. So I'm excited to see some potential bargains for a few of the assets that I'm interested in, and yeah, just really thrilled about that. But more importantly, thrilled about the progress with people beginning to realize that mind, body, and soul wellness, holistic care is important. It's essential. It's necessary. And it's something that you can begin right away. You know, where would I start right now? What's the first thing that I can do? Well, guys, I have been writing in a gratitude journal, and anybody that knows me, I know I could do digital. I do enough things digitally, but I like writing and I like paper. And at the beginning of the year, sometimes I'll do morning pages, which is an exercise to unlock your creativity. Uh, the gratitude journal I'm using specifically with A Course in Miracles because many of you, I shared last year that I did the course. And hey, Candace. Oh, hey, John. So last year I did the course and it was so profound. I mean, so many shifts happened in my life that definitely I knew that I would continue to do the course each year because there would be some new revelations, there would be information that possibly I'd look at a little bit differently. I hope the background noise is not too loud. I hear the motorcycle. I am literally on 7 Mile Beach in the grill, so the street is not far away. And I haven't hit the water yet. I came here to hit you first before I go to the beach and unwind. But anyway, back to the point. So, when I think about the importance of beginning with gratitude and how beginning with gratitude has really moved the needle along the journey of manifesting the intention and understanding that the intentions begin a work assignment. It's when you say that, and I've always been a person that I felt that I was going through different seasons of my life along the journey. And I know when I'm entering a season. And so I have exited the season of courage. That was the season that I was in the last year and a half. And I tackled I guess, what it was that required courage. I would say, like today. I flew into a country by myself. I'm not Jamaican, I'm not from here. Flew into the country by myself as a female, picked up my rental car, and I'm on the road, right? That takes a lot of courage, especially, they drive on the opposite side, drive very fast. There's tons of potholes, there's a bunch of things. The traffic stops here. I passed by two different traffic stops and I was grateful that I wasn't stopped. But imagine you're just driving down the road and you come up to a traffic stop and the officers are armed with AK-47s. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a different mindset that one must, be ready for and adapt to the reality that folks are running around with AK-47s. And yes, they can stop at any point, and that's what you're facing. So I realized that I had come through the season of courage, and now I have moved into the season of prosperity manifestation again. And I've been in this season before many, many times, so I know what that looks and feels like. And I'm excited to be here in that particular space and looking forward to what my finds will be and kind of sharing again as I pull back, if you will, the curtain and take you along this journey of building a global empire while making sure that I spend sufficient time taking care of myself. And that part is the challenge because oftentimes when you're burning the midnight oil, you're burning the candle at both ends, you burn out. Simply that, you can burn out. So it's very important to carve out time for self. I'm encouraging entrepreneurs to make wellness a commitment, not only for themselves but for their organizations. And I'm seeing that movement. A number of Fortune 500s have begun to recognize that people struggle with disconnecting. And I think because technology is so pervasive, that it's hard to shut down. But unfortunately, there are consequences when you cannot shut down and you cannot disconnect. So many organizations are exploring and adopting wellness policies where the entire company is shut down for at least a week at a time to ensure that each person takes time to disconnect. We're going to be calling on those companies and letting them know that, all right, if 420 Wellness is not the right place, they can definitely come to Turquoise, right? But I'm sure a few will be sneaking on over to 420 Wellness as well, right? So that they can get those extra extra treats to contribute to their wellness journey. Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this journey. As you know, my objective is to come to you each Wednesday, keep it short and sweet, get right to the point, but share a little bit more about what's happening. So hopefully you'll find this as one of your favorite little spots to check in and see what's going on. Hopefully you'll share some things about your journey. I'll look forward to opportunities for feedback and contributions. And definitely, you know, keep the faith around your intentions because when you set them, then what you have to do next is start the work. You start the journey. You have to accept that the intention that you set was granted. But what's next is for you to behave as if that happened. And so, what would you do next? What is the very next assignment that you must do, right? In order to move the needle forward. So, thank you again for joining me along this journey. I hope to see you again next Wednesday for another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. We'll see if we can get my guest scheduled for today, rescheduled for upcoming segments. And, I have an exciting guest coming up for the next segment. I'm pretty sure you're going to like this young man, someone who's near and dear to my heart. I get to call him my son. You guys know him as, well, he was the child actor under the name of Sterling Ardrey, and now he is the music producer and artist under the stage name of Tin Colder. So Tin Colder is going to join me next week, and we'll have another exciting conversation. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you next week. And for those of you who have been following the work that I'm doing with the Black Business Expo Olympics and the Black Business Expo Network, I have agreed to host their every Wednesday mastermind think tank. And this evening, we will have a mastermind think tank that begins 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're around and you want to participate on that one, you have to participate. You're fully engaged, but you're meeting a wealth of fascinating entrepreneurs around the world who are all joining in and building community so that we can support one another. So until next week, guys, or if I see you later this evening, in any event, I'll see you all soon. Take care. It's Dr. Money signing out. See you next time for Naked with Dr. Money.